kind of know when the idea of race became a social formation or a social construct. Yeah, some of the people have taken the classes too, but yeah, if you're anything like me, I never learned about this event in history class or anything in high school, and I always thought race was just kind of something that has always been around. You know, it's like a thing that we can see, so therefore maybe people have always kind of thought about it. But it turns out it can all be traced back to one singular event in U.S. history: Bacon's Rebellion. Okay, so some of the background on it. So before 1676, slavery was not based on race, which is a common misconception. Sometimes people think it's always been, based on race. But it was actually indentured servitude, which was people of all races and ethnicities, everything, could be indentured servants, and it happened when they had a contract with somebody, like if they had done something wrong with the law, or that like they stole something, anything. It was kind of like, not prison, but a form of imprisonment where you did work for a certain person under a contract. So, in 1676, Bacon's Rebellion took place in Jamestown, Virginia, and it was kind of a feud between a guy named Nathaniel Bacon and the governor of Virginia, who was also a relative to him, William Berkeley. So those two had disagreements on how to go about the Native Americans, because Nathaniel Bacon wanted to expand all of his land as fast as he could because he was a wealthy landowner, and he was like, I don't think we're doing this fast enough. And then Berkeley was like, we absolutely can't do that because then the Indians will retaliate if we go out and attack them. That would be a horrible idea, or Native Americans, sorry. But, so, after that, Nathaniel Bacon didn't like that response, and then kind of got all the indentured servants together and told them, hey, if you help me do this, like, you can get land too if we take it from the Native Americans. And they were like, okay, whatever. So they went with him and formed a militia, and it was people of all different races. Like, it wasn't like just white men or black men, it was everyone together, which is kind of like, I thought it was not weird, but it was like, I just didn't picture that back in the 1600s even, because I was like, oh, like, racism was kind of a problem there in slavery. But, so this militia was formed of all different ethnicities, and then when the militia was formed, Berkeley and Bacon were just at a standoff for months. I mean, there was kind of little battles in Jamestown, but the big event was when the militia took over Jamestown completely. They burned it all to the ground, and that included the State House, which was a pretty big deal because it's kind of different today, but like, could you imagine if somebody went in and just burned down the State House? Like, that'd be a pretty big deal. So once they did that, Bacon actually died a couple months after, but they were going pretty strong. But he died and the militia fell apart, and that freaked out all the elites because they were like, oh my god, the lower class completely banded together and fought us and we almost lost. We can't have that happen again. So that's when they started separating the lower class based on race. So when it came to kind of, But yeah, so they separated based on race, and the way they did that is they released all white indentured servants. They gave them land, they gave them guns, and that was a big thing. All indentured servants had guns. Like, they had more rights than actual slaves did. Not necessarily a lot, but they were just seen as a lower class more. So they took all the guns away from the black indentured servants. They let the white ones go, gave them land, and they were like, you're the superior race, and that's why we have to be against, black slaves. And then they told the slaves, they were like, you are never going to get free, because that was also possible when you were an indentured servant. So they're like, you're not free, you're slaves from now on, your children will be slaves. They took away their guns, and that's kind of when that was when slavery based on race kind of started, and when race actually was prevalent in history. So, without Bacon's Rebellion, social constructs of the U.S. would probably be completely different, and the world. Like, who knows what could have happened, because it really wasn't, it was like a thing that people could see, but it wasn't something that they separated others based on. So, hope I taught you a little bit about one of the most important events in history, in my opinion. So.